Thank you for joining me. One of the great things about felt making is all the other types of materials that you can add into your wool to create stunning textures, effects, and unique pieces of felt. So in this particular video, I want to talk to you about yarns and how you can incorporate yarns in your work, what yarns work, what yarns don't work so well, so that you can play and explore surface structure and surface texture by adding in yarns to your work. Let's start by looking at yarns that are specifically designed for knitting. So here I've got some yarns that are designed for knitters to knit up a hat, a bowl, a bag, and then to pop it in the washing machine and felt it down. So they are in fact 100% wool. They are lightly spun and they are perfect for felting into your work because they're designed for a type of felting process. They come in a lovely range of variegated colours and they're great for adding linear design to your pieces and projects. Here's a couple of vessels that I have made using this central yarn. Actually, this one here is the one that I've used, and you can see what a brilliant linear design you can get using those particular wools. So I would definitely recommend having a go with some of those. Sticking with 100% wool, you can get a lot of fantastic wools on the market now. These are collinet yarns. They are very lightly spun again, and that's the key thing that I would say. When you're looking at knitting yarns to use in your felt making, you want to make sure that they're at least 70–75% wool and that they are very lightly spun, or have sections that are looser spun so that the fibres can grab onto the wool of your felting. That's the whole process that makes adding yarns into your work. It's the little yarns that are on the wool that grab into your felt making yarns, and they are what produces the bond that will keep the wool onto the surface. So this is, as I say, a lovely collinet yarn. You can see here I've got a couple of sample pieces that I've made using it, and you can see how you can create imagery using yarns. So I've sort of got fields with trees and birds here. So you can use yarns to enhance your imagery as well as putting just straight lines into your work. I love using mohair in felt making, particularly variegated mohair. It gives a lovely effect. And I've got a couple of examples here. You will see this spiral effect. It's just mohair laid down, echoed again on the flaps of this little bag. And I've actually incorporated it into the handle when I made the cord handle as well. So you can see how it's brought the whole design together just simply with the addition of a variegated mohair. There is this little purse as well. That was made using this particular variegated wool, and you can see how it is adding just little surface design to create a much more interesting look to the piece on the surface. I've used the same yarn in this little art piece where I have put just a couple of strips along the horizon line to add depth to the piece, and it just enhances the perspective a little bit. That's been machine stitched into to add the tree decoration. I have got one more mohair style yarn to show you, and that is this one. Now, this one I found in a charity shop. I had no idea what it was comprised of. The label was long gone missing. It's got a certain sheen to it, so I'm fairly certain that it's got a heavy man-made element to it. So a bit nervous of it in terms of felting. But because of its lovely fluffy surface, I thought that probably will bond in and it's worth trying. So I did a little sample piece and it did work. It was lovely. So I incorporated it into this little vessel, and it just adds to the subtle surface colour of this one here. It's also quite a hairy mohair, and in actual fact, because some of those hairs weren't wool, they were actually synthetic fibre, they're still lying proud of the surface, so it's made the vessel look a little bit hairy as well, which has given an added dimension to it, one I wasn't expecting, but I quite like it. That's another way you can use yarns to create different interest in your felt making work. So as well as wool yarns, you also get, as you know, many other types of yarns. So there are cotton yarns or plant-based yarns. This one here, you can see I've just used some stripes in this little sample to create shape, and I've used the same yarn in this vessel, just this wavy form on this C-shaped vessel that I made, not C-shaped, C-themed vessel that I made as a demonstration piece in a vessel making workshop. And I've also used it as the main design feature in this bag. I've wrapped the wool around the bag and it forms the main design feature. Very dramatic and very effective just by using a simple multicoloured yarn. So in terms of plant fibres, you can also get all sorts of other lovely fibres these days. Here's just a small selection. Now these are banana fibre, and banana fibre is beautifully shiny. It's absolutely gorgeously shiny. This one is shown here, felted in, and you can see how well it bonds with the merino wool. And it comes in these most stunning, vibrant colours. And it's all a bit shaggy, so it bonds well again with the wool. Absolutely lovely. I've just used it here as well as a plaited handle and a little bit of surface embellishment on this Nuno little bag here. So many exciting yarns of different types of fibres on the market now. I've got one more here. This is a silk yarn. You can now get sari silk that's been repurposed into yarn. Lots of beautiful yarns. Again, look out for a surface that has got loose bits, something that will grab onto your wool and hold it in place. That's the key thing that you're looking for. So coming back to natural fibres and back to wool. Sorry, not natural, they're all natural. Most of these are natural fibres. So coming back to wool, this is some wool that I have hand spun. It's blue faced Leicester that I've hand dyed and then spun on a drop spindle. I'm not a spinner, I'm not very good. I do like doing it occasionally, and you can see from the different weights on this how uneven my spinning is. But I've now spun it up and I can use this in my felt making. So you can spin your own wool, or if you know of a friendly spinner, ask them to spin some for you, and maybe in return for a piece of felt making, a felting project. So hand spinning's quite good. You can also buy hand spun wool. Keep an eye out for these cheese shaped balls. Again, these are charity shop buys, and they're a very good indicator, this little shape, that it has been hand spun, and these work beautifully as well. I've got here just one more sample to show you, which is a range of different natural wools that haven't been dyed that I found on my travels, which I tested to see how well they felted. So just to show you the various different weights and options that you can get. These are very thin and lightweight roving. It's hardly spun at all, and it breaks really easily, but it gives this lovely thin line effect at the top here. Very useful in adding subtle lines to your felt. The next two on that sample are these cones. Now these both are very coarse. I wouldn't want to wear them against my skin, and they are quite heavily spun, but they're both quite hairy as well, so the hairs help to grab onto the wool and they felted in fine. And in fact it's great because they stay a little bit on the surface, and it gives a lovely surface texture as well, rather than just a flat finish. So that's been really great. Now, looking at the next one, which is a really dark, heavy brown line, I have no idea what this fibre is for, or this spin is for. It's a mad piece of, like, a bit like dreadlocks, but they're not dreadlocks. But I thought, I saw it and I thought, I wonder if that'll felt in, and it does. It felts in beautifully, and it gives again this beautiful surface on the work. So keep your eye out for unusual things. You never know what you're going to find out there. And then finally on this piece, I have a couple of hanks and skeins of blue-faced Leicester wool that I've bought to dye and use in my felt making work. So there is a massive range of yarns out there. Natural fibre yarns are the best to use in felt making. I suggest you try and stick to 70–75% plus wool or natural fibre. Make sure it's not too tightly spun, or make sure that it's got hairiness to it that will bond into your wool. So those are the key points really. So have a look, see what you can find. Enjoy having a look, enjoy trialing things, and this will open up a whole new range of possibilities in terms of surface design for your felt making. So have fun, enjoy yourself, and see what you can do.